The bustling streets of Cairo pulsed with life as the trio settled into a quaint cafe nestled along a quiet alleyway. The faint aroma of cardamom-infused coffee and sweet pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the distant hum of a busy market. For the first time in weeks, Laith, Esperanza and Itzamna felt a sense of normalcy creeping into their otherwise extraordinary journey. They had agreed this day would be different, a brief reprieve from the weight of their mission. The cafe offered a secluded corner where they could sip their coffee, share their thoughts and reconnect with a world they had all but left behind.
You know, sometimes I forget what it feels like to just sit and watch the world go by. No lasers, no shadows, no ancient prophecies, just people living their lives.
It feels nice, doesn't it? But it also makes me realize how much I miss home.
We've been so focused on what's ahead that we haven't looked back. Maybe it's time we did.
The trio exchanged glances, the unspoken longing in their eyes prompting a unanimous decision. They each reached for their phones, their hearts beating a little faster at the prospect of hearing familiar voices. But there was an unspoken rule they all understood. The Pyramid Priesthood, Al-Bashar, and their adventures in Atlantis and the halls of Amenti were strictly off-limits. The shadowy organization's reach was long, and they couldn't risk exposing their mission.
Guess I'll go first. My family probably thinks I've vanished off the face of the earth.
He stepped away to make his call, leaving Esperanza and Itzamna to share a quiet moment. Laith found a secluded spot near the cafe's entrance and dialed his sister's number. The line rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Laith's sister, Vo. Laith, where on earth have you been? Mum's been worried sick.
I know, I've been traveling. Work took me to some pretty remote places. How's everyone doing?
His sister launched into an update, her tone shifting from reprimand to warmth as she shared stories of family gatherings and neighborhood gossip. Laith soaked in every word, his heart aching for the simplicity of their lives. Laith's sister, Vo. And you? When are you coming home?
Soon. I miss you all. Tell Mom not to worry, okay? I'll call again soon.
He ended the call, his chest tight. The thought of keeping secrets from his family weighed heavily on him, but he knew it was necessary. Esperanza stayed seated, her phone pressed to her ear as she called her mother. The familiar sound of her voice brought tears to her eyes. Esperanza's mother, Vio. Mejia, where have you been? It's been weeks. Esperanza, Vio. I'm sorry, Mama. Work has been intense, but I'm safe, I promise. Esperanza's mother, Vio. I just worry about you, Esperanza. You're always so far away. They spoke for a while about family, old friends, and her mother's small garden that was flourishing with tomatoes and herbs. Esperanza closed her eyes, letting herself be transported to the warmth of her childhood home. Esperanza, V.O. I'll visit as soon as I can, give everyone my love. As she ended the call, a single tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly, glancing at Laith and Itzamna to see if they'd noticed. Itzamna's call was more formal, directed to his department head at the university where he had once taught. He explained his prolonged absence with vague references to a research project. Department head, V.O. You've been out of touch for quite some time, Professor. We've had to reassign your courses. Itzamna, V.O. I understand this project has demanded all of my attention, but I assure you I'm making significant progress. The conversation turned to academia, new publications, faculty changes, and upcoming conferences. Itzamna absorbed it all, feeling a pang of longing for the intellectual community he had left behind. After the call, he sat in silence for a moment, his thoughts heavy. He missed the structure and predictability of his old life, even as he knew he could never return to it fully. The trio reconvened at their table, their faces reflecting a mix of emotions. They sipped their drinks in silence for a while, the weight of their separation from loved ones settling over them. Esperanza, V.O. I don't like giving them a half-truth. But how could I ever explain what we're doing? Laith, Vo, it's not lying, it's protecting them. Itzamna, Vo. Al-Bashar's network is vast. One slip and we'd put everyone we care about at risk. They sat in thoughtful silence, the cafe's warm atmosphere providing a small measure of comfort.
You know what? Next time we call, we should tell them we're on some amazing archaeological dig. Close enough to the truth, right?
I suppose it's better than saying we're saving the world.
We'll figure it out. For now, let's focus on what we can control.
As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the streets of Cairo in a golden glow, the trio allowed themselves this rare moment of peace. Despite the secrets they carried and the challenges ahead, they found solace in their shared purpose, and in the knowledge that they were not alone. The cafe's quiet hum faded into the background as the trio stepped onto the narrow cobbled street leading back to their hotel. The night was alive with the soft murmur of distant conversations, the occasional bark of a stray dog, and the rhythmic clatter of hooves from a horse-drawn carriage. Above them, the stars peeked through the haze of city lights, a quiet reminder of the vastness that surrounded their extraordinary journey. The air between them was light, almost playful as they walked, coffees still warm in their hands. The tension of their recent battles seemed to ease with every step, replaced by a sense of camaraderie that had grown stronger with each challenge they'd faced.
So how exactly did a scientist and a mystic end up tagging along with a guy like me, a bounty hunter?
Tagging along? If I recall correctly, you were the one who stumbled into our path.
I remember it clearly. You barged into that library in Istanbul, causing a scene about some mark you were chasing. I was trying to decipher a Sumerian tablet at the time.
Hey, I wasn't causing a scene. I was just asking the librarian some very important questions.
Important questions? You practically flipped the poor librarian's desk looking for some random guy?
It wasn't some random guy. He was a fugitive, and a tricky one at that. If it weren't for you two, I probably wouldn't have caught him.
Caught him? If I remember correctly, it was my intuition that led us to him hiding in that cafe.
And my analysis of his travel patterns.
Fine, you two played your part, but let's not forget I tackled him.
Right into a fountain.
As they continued their walk, the conversation shifted to their lives before their paths crossed.
I guess chasing down criminals seemed like a good way to put both to use. They always said I had my dad's knack for strategy and my mom's stubbornness. My father was a soldier, my mother a school teacher. So yeah, bounty hunter, not exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills.
I can see that. You're resourceful and relentless, to say the least.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Joining the university felt inevitable. My parents were both professors, so I grew up surrounded by books and debates at the dinner table. Archaeology, linguistics, history. I lived for the pursuit of knowledge. I was an academic through and through.
And what about your spiritual side? It's rare to find someone so grounded in science who's also open to, well, everything else.
It wasn't until I experienced my first vision that I realized science and spirituality weren't opposing forces. They're two sides of the same coin. That came later. After years of research, I began noticing patterns, connections between ancient texts and spiritual teachings.
Leave it to the professor to make even visions sound like a thesis.
And you, Laith, what about your spiritual side?
Let's just say I've had my fair share of encounters with things I can't explain. But I'm more of a trust my gut kind of guy. I leave the visions and meditations to you two.
And me? My journey started with my grandmother. She was a healer in our village, deeply connected to the earth and the spirit world. She taught me to listen, not just to people, but to everything around me. After she passed, I felt a pull to continue her work, to explore the spiritual path she showed me.
And that led you to becoming, what, a spiritual guide?
Something like that. I travel, I teach, I listen. It's not a formal role, but it feels right.
As they approached their hotel, a sudden wave of calm washed over them, accompanied by a familiar telepathic hum. Each of them stopped in their tracks, their minds attuned to the voices of their guides. Guides, your meeting was no accident. Before you were born, in the realm of light and unity, you each chose your paths. Your life plans dictated that your journeys would intersect. Together, your three approaches, scientific, spiritual, and instinctual, would create a harmony capable of facing the challenges ahead. You are stronger together, not by chance but by design. Trust in one another, for your union is the key to unlocking the light within and around you. The telepathic connection faded, leaving them standing in silence.
So, destiny, huh? Guess I'm stuck with you too.
And we're stuck with you. It's a fair trade.
I suppose it's better than deciphering Sumerian tablets alone.
Back in their hotel suite, the mood turned playful as they settled in for the night.
So, what's the strangest thing you've ever done for a bounty?
There was this one time I had to dress up as a waiter to catch a guy at a fancy gala. Let's just say I'm not cut out for balancing trays of champagne.
I can't imagine you in a bow tie.
Hey, I pulled it off.
What about you, Itzamna? Any wild stories from academia?
Let's just say sneaking into restricted archives isn't as glamorous as it sounds, but it's worth it for a chance to read a forgotten manuscript.
And here I thought I was the rebel.
They continued to share stories, their laughter filling the suite. The weight of their journey didn't disappear, but in that moment, their bonds deepened, strengthened by their shared history and the knowledge that their meeting was destined. As the night deepened, Esperanza placed 3 mats on the floor, their presence a silent invitation.
Before we sleep, let's meditate. It will help us process everything and prepare for what lies ahead.
The trio settled onto the mats, forming a small triangle in the room.
Close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Feel the connection between us, the bond we share.
The room grew quiet, the outside world fading into the background. Their breaths synchronized and a serene energy began to flow between them. Itzamna envisioned the ancient knowledge they had unearthed. Leith felt the spark of his instincts aligning with purpose, and Esperanza embraced the light of her guides, anchoring them all. After several moments, each of them felt a subtle shift, a calm clarity that settled over their minds and hearts. When they opened their eyes, there was no need for words. The connection between them had deepened further, uniting them in purpose and trust. They retired to their beds, the peace of their meditation lingering. As they drifted to sleep, they knew that no matter what challenges awaited, their bond would carry them through. The morning sun poured through the large bay windows of the hotel suite, casting golden patterns on the ornate rugs and velvet furniture. The faint hum of the city below was a muted backdrop to the lavish calm of their temporary sanctuary. Yet despite their opulent surroundings, tension lingered as the trio prepared for their next move.
So we're doing this without telling the elder?
Yes. The guides were clear. We are meant to uncover this ourselves. If we involve the priesthood, it might draw unnecessary attention to them. Albakar's reach is extensive.
And dangerous. If we misstep, we could expose the priesthood and lose any chance to act. We need to observe and gather information discreetly.
That's where the gifts come in. We can change our appearances, move unnoticed. If we keep our energy low and avoid direct eye contact with their psychics, we'll remain undetected.
I still think it's wild that we can do this, but if it gets us closer to stopping whatever they're planning, I'm in.
We go in, observe, and get out. No unnecessary risks. We need to understand their plans before deciding on our next step.
The guides assure us we'll have support from the 7 lords, the priesthood, and even unseen allies. We just have to trust our instincts.
The trio stood, their decision made. Without notifying the elder, they prepared to head into the city, their appearances subtly shifting through their mastery of the gifts of spirit. Esperanza's vibrant features softened into those of a modest village woman. Itzamna's scholarly demeanor transformed into the stoic appearance of a city guard. Leith became a burly laborer, his rugged charm replaced with a simple, unassuming air. The marketplace buzzed with life, yet the trio's focus was locked on the 2 shadowy figures, Fiona, the strategist, and Adric, the whisperer, moving purposefully through the bustling streets. Staying at a safe distance, the trio weaved through the crowd, their altered appearances shielding them from detection.
They're heading south.
His priesthood device glowed faintly on his wrist, its symbols pulsing in sync with the energy signatures of their targets.
What do you think they're up to? Doesn't look like they're here for spices.
Stay focused. We'll find out soon enough.
The pair from Albakar turned abruptly into a narrow alley, their steps quickening. The trio followed cautiously, the energy in the air thickening as they approached a secluded warehouse near the edge of the marketplace. Peering through a cracked window, the trio watched as Fiona and Adric entered the dimly lit building. Inside, the space was filled with advanced